Have you ever met someone who just seems completely, totally captivated by themselves? You know, the kind of person where every conversation somehow circles back to them? Well, today, we're going to dive into Thomas Erickson's book, Surrounded by Narcissists, to get a better handle on this complex personality and, maybe more importantly, how to deal with it.
So the book kicks off with this pretty wild quote from Plato, right? Love is a serious mental disease. It's a lot, but it really sets the stage perfectly, forcing us to think about these intense, sometimes even destructive relationships, where adoration can be a really dangerous one-way street.
All right, so let's start with the absolute basics. Before we can spot the patterns, the book argues we need to get a really clear definition of what we're actually talking about when we say narcissism.
So where does this word even come from? Well, it goes way back to this ancient Greek myth about a guy named Narcissus. The story goes he was so ridiculously good-looking that he caught a glimpse of his own reflection in a pond and just fell in love. He couldn't look away, and he eventually just wasted away, staring at himself. A bit dramatic, but you get the idea.
Now, this is a really important point the book makes. It draws a hard line between a personality disorder and a mental illness. It argues that narcissism isn't something you can just cure with medication, like you might with a health issue. Instead, it's seen as a fundamental, deep-seated part of a person's actual personality. And hey, just a quick but super important heads up, what we're talking about here is all about understanding behaviors so you can protect yourself. It is not about slapping labels on your boss or your cousin. A real clinical diagnosis, that has to come from a qualified expert, period.
Okay, so we've got the theory down, but what does this actually look like in real life? How do these traits pop up in everyday conversations and relationships? Let's get into the common tactics, the playbook, if you will.
To really paint a picture, the book gives us this case study of a fictional character named Linda. And Linda, well, she seems popular on the surface, tons of friends. But when you look closer, there's no real depth there. She feels totally entitled, manipulates her parents into buying her a fancy apartment, and if anyone dares to criticize her, watch out. She'll spread the nastiest rumors about them.
This slide is just brilliant. It's like a secret translation guide for manipulative language. When they say, "You're being so dramatic," what they really mean is, "Your totally normal reaction is making me look bad." And the classic, "I'm sorry you feel that way," that's not an apology, it's a shutdown. It's all about control, right? Twisting words to shift blame and protect their own fragile ego.
Okay, knowing the playbook is one thing, but what in the world are you supposed to do about it? How do you actually defend yourself? This next part is all about the practical, actionable advice from the book.
The absolute foundation, the number one rule, is this. You have to set clear boundaries, non-negotiable. The book is incredibly clear on this. You should never, ever accept any kind of abuse, whether it's emotional, mental, whatever. That's the starting line.
So, to help with that, the book gives us this super handy 4-part formula for communicating. It's so powerful because it takes the drama out of it. You're not accusing, you're just stating facts. When this specific thing happens, this is how I feel. It helps you lay out your case without getting sucked into a big, messy fight.
Let's look at how this plays out. See the difference here? The first one, "it makes me feel unloved," is all about your feelings. And a narcissist can easily twist that and say you're just being too sensitive. But the second one, it's about the action and a shared standard. This is not okay for a functional relationship. It's much harder to argue with that. Okay, for this last part, we're going to zoom way out. The book asks this huge, kind of uncomfortable question. Is it possible that our whole society is becoming a little more narcissistic? Check this out. A study in the book found this really fascinating split between generations. They asked, can a kid have too much self-esteem? The grandmothers were like, yeah, it turns into arrogance. But the mothers? They overwhelmingly said, nope, you can never have too much. That's a huge shift in thinking. And, of course, we have to talk about social media. The book basically argues it's like a perfect breeding ground for these traits. I mean, think about it. It rewards you for constant self-promotion. It values how many followers you have more than real connections. And it makes us compare our normal, messy lives to someone else's perfectly curated highlight reel. And that really brings us to the heart of the matter, captured perfectly by this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. In a world that is always pushing you to be something else, to project some perfect image, just being your authentic self might be the hardest and most important thing you can do. So, we're left with this final thought to really chew on. In a culture that rewards shouting about how great you are, how do we build real, solid confidence in ourselves without slipping into that trap of vanity and self-obsession? It's a question for all of us, really. How do we stay grounded?